So this is a 2007 Hyundai Santa Fe with the 3.3. Customer complaint is that the belt stops moving when it gets wet, which water would act as a lubricant. So I drove it around. I didn't see any issues with it, but when I brought it back, I filled this little cup here with water. And I poured it directly in this hole here, and everything except for the crankshaft stopped. Now that belt stretched out about 1.5 inches longer than the belt's supposed to be. It's supposed to be 975 K6, and I would say that was probably more like 1,000 K6. So anyways, what I'm doing right now is replacing that tensioner right there. There is a couple things that have to come off. You have the idler pulley up here. That is a 14 millimeter. It takes it off. You want to drop the pulley and the bolt down to be able to get it out, or you can come up, either one. It doesn't really matter. It was easier for me to drop it down than it was to come up. The tensioner strut itself is a 12 millimeter. It's mounted right up under where that idler pulley is. You just let it drop down, and then down at the bottom, I'm not sure if you can see it, at the end of the wrench here is a 17 millimeter bolt. It is extremely tight. So if you're taking this off, be prepared to probably slip and bust a knuckle or something like that. This can be done from the top. It doesn't have to be done from the bottom. And after I get this out, I have the new part to go back in and the new belt to go back on. I'll probably drop my wrench whenever I get this off. It sounds like my luck anyways. I'm barely holding on to it now as it is. Now if you want to do this from the bottom, it can be done from the bottom as well. It's just easier for me, instead of dragging a jack over here and sliding up under it, to pull it out from the top. Bearing's bad. The tensioner itself is bad. We have to clean this bolt up. Last thing that we're going to be doing once this is done is either replacing the seal on the oil pan plug, or replacing the entire plug, depending on if I see anything wrong with the threads or not. So it's going to be pretty obvious where this goes back. There is a big void down here. My apologies if you're hearing me extremely loud. Most of my videos you can barely hear me. I'm not going to put that bolt all the way in until I get this strut bolted up. I can't see it. Of course, I'm right-handed, so I have to be using my left hand and look over down in the hole to be able to try to find where I need to go. Alright, I think I've finally gotten it started. Yes. Alright, that bolt is started. We're going to thread this one all the way in by hand, if it can go all the way in by hand. And then use the gear wrench to be able to tighten it all the way down. This thing has never been off, and it was extremely tight. So if you're wondering how tight it's supposed to be, all of it. This tensioner by itself, if you don't have a commercial account, the one that I have is $172.99. You may be able to find it on Amazon or eBay or any local part store cheaper, but I use AutoZone. I've used AutoZone since I went into business. All of it. Alright, get that 17 out of here. Now, to tighten up the little 12. The 12 I spun out by hand, but I don't know if it's going to go all the way in by hand. Oh yeah, it loosened up after it got a little bit of ways in. Make sure to inspect the idler pulley while you have it off. This one looks like it's due to be changed, and I don't know if I'm going to or not, but I can ask the customer if she wants to change it. The other bolt that I just tightened up for the strut is not super tight. Well, this bearing spins fine, so I'm not going to change it. It just doesn't look aesthetically pleasing. They do have a kit that comes with the tensioner, the idler, and the belt. It's like $230 something, somewhere around in there. I'm not entirely sure of the cost of it. I looked at it in passing, but it wasn't something that I thought it was needed. Oh yeah, just for the record, I did not remove the battery cable ends for this vehicle, for this job. That bolt was not crazy tight either. I think it was supposed to be like 50 foot-pounds, and that's about where it's at. So the belt routing diagram, I didn't look when I was taking it off, but I would say that it's probably pretty self-explanatory. You have a power steering pump at the back of the engine, crankshaft at the bottom center, AC compressor on the front, on the bottom. Just above that you have the alternator, the idler, the tensioner. That's it. So you're going to go around the bottom of the power steering pump, the bottom of the crankshaft. I don't know, I'll have to look it up. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It was 12 minutes worth of work. You can do it yourself. Hopefully this video helps. Thanks for watching.